Moving over onto video number 2, talking about how I deal with change as an autistic person. So I think the hardest thing with the whole COVID is the uncertainty over the future, and obviously everyone's finding it's difficult. You know, autistic or not autistic, everyone is struggling, everyone is finding it's difficult, everyone is anxious. But obviously if you're autistic, you already are coming out from a baseline of already elevated levels of anxiety anyway, so this can make your pre-existing problems a bit more pronounced. And I do find that's happening with me. Like, my general anxiety that I've always had is a lot more extreme than normal. But I'm trying to, keep it balanced. Obviously, I can't go into shops or anything like that because the OCD that would develop. Well, like I say in my previous video, I can't because I've been literally, my body just wouldn't allow me. It would be paralysed. The fear of it should be so intense. There comes a point when anxiety can actually stop you just through the absolute sheer immobilisation that anxiety causes. But also, of course, the resulting OCD would be absolutely unbearable. I have OCD at the moment, but it's manageable because I'm avoiding the contact that would trigger it. I mean, normally before Corona, I would try and rationalise my OCD. I would try and fight my OCD because exposure and response prevention. But that's just not tenable at the moment because the risks are so big, and it is a real risk, and I just can't bear it. So yeah, the uncertainty is difficult, and no idea how long. Obviously, it will go back to normal. There's this kind of vagueness there. We just don't know. Will it be months? Will it be years? You're having to adapt to this new normal that will potentially go on for years, because I'm not going to be able to go out properly until the pandemic's over, until the disease is no longer here, until it's actually completely safe, and I don't know how long it's going to be, because my benchmark for what is safe is a lot different to the government's benchmark, because my idea of safe is when a disease is no longer in a community, so we don't know when that's going to be. We might be talking years off yet, we just don't know. So it can feel quite claustrophobic, being at home, because as I said in my previous video, although my life was already quite isolated and constrained anyway because of my autism and the OCD and everything, I still wanted to go out now and again. I was trying to push myself, going on the train places. It wasn't, not that often because it involves a lot of effort and energy and anxiety, but I was trying to do that, and I miss that. I miss being able just to go down to the library for a breather or to walk down the streets or window shop. I miss that. But yeah, the reading and cooking routines are helping. I have become quite compulsive, I think, because it's actually a coping strategy and it's currently the only one I have at disposal. So yeah, I have been collecting probably more than my fair share of books. I can't go to the library at the moment, I know one thing that's keeping me sane. But as far as addictions go, you get the worse ones. And when I do get more stress, I do tend to get a bit more compulsive in terms of my collecting. It just makes me feel more grounded. But like I say, there are worse things to collect than books. I'm sort of carrying on in my own personal lockdown really, because it's sort of lesser of two evils in terms of anxiety. I mean, the rules are not clear, and that's kind of making me more anxious. I think in a way in lockdown my anxiety wasn't quite as high, but it's kind of increased now that lockdown's being released, because everyone else is kind of moving back to normal and I'm still in my lockdown. And I think as the gap between me and other people increases, the anxiety is going to increase. But as I say, I'm still dealing with it better than, say, the big change, than, say, changes to the little details in my life. I have a lot of sensory issues in terms of noise, so I'm very sensitive to noises, tiny little noises like electrical sounds and things like that. Things like that can be really distracting, and that can trigger extreme stress if it happens suddenly, and that's connected again to my fear of uncertainty and needing to be in control and not knowing what's coming next. I do find it very hard to think of alternatives if my chosen course of action has been hindered. So yeah, the afternoons I do spend a lot of time procrastinating because it's hard shifting my attention. My brain kind of it's very intense. When it's kind of engaged in something, it uses a lot of energy because of this extreme kind of concentrated focus. It's exhausting, so consequently I do need a lot of time where my brain just kind of goes into sort of idle mode and doesn't really do anything. I then feel incredibly guilty because I like to be productive and I like to be doing things. I don't, and then I feel guilty because I'm just wasting time, but I do need that because if I were to be on the, because my brain wouldn't be able to take it because it kind of is so intense. Whenever I'm doing something, I give my all to it, so it needs a lot of kind of downtime to kind of recover from it. Yeah, as I said, the afternoons are the hardest because that's when there's like this kind of void between my reading, because I can't really do any concentrated reading in the afternoon because I do that in the morning when I'm most awake. Because although I do really enjoy reading, it does involve a lot of energy and a lot of concentration and effort. So, I do a bit of reading in the afternoon, but it's more kind of like just reading on the internet, and I don't do that much of it. I can't like sit and read a book in the afternoon because I'm too spent by that point. Um, so again, I'm like, what do I do? And it's like, I don't know. And it's harder now because like maybe before Corona I might think, oh, I'm just going to go down to the library, get a change of scene, but I can't really do that now. I go out for a sort of 30 to 40 minute walk, but it's very, very stressful. It's an incredible challenge. I'd rather not do it. I only do it because I need to get the exercise and the vitamin D. So it's the lesser of two evils, but it's incredibly difficult. So yeah, I think to finish this video, I think the main reason why changes are difficult and why I do stick to a very tight routine is that I think making choices is very difficult, as is initiating action, and focusing attention on one thing at the expense of another is hard. Like I say, it's all or nothing for me. I can focus intensively on one thing when I know I'm going to be doing that thing, but when there's like choices involved, and when it's a kind of more vague area that I haven't structured and it's less clear what I'm going to do, then I really struggle to know what I'm going to do. So again, it can be a lot harder and I end up not doing anything because making a choice is too stressful. So yes, I often just end up gormlessly scrolling through Twitter come the afternoon. But anyway, I hope this has given you some insight into how I deal with change and uncertainty as an autistic person, and I very much look forward to the question and answer session, which I think is going to happen once you've seen these two pre-recorded videos. So thank you for watching.